letting me. Uh, Sending data. Oh, I gotta edit this one. Paste.
Girl.
Hey, do people watch these live or what?
No.
Like one or two. Not bad.
All right. Well, I'm not too worried about that. Then I'll still pick my nose if I need.
Yeah,
I'm
but they
drinking
do.
beer. I don't care.
They watch it on YouTube after, so
Oh, I'm drinking beer. I don't care.
it's not a big deal. We used to drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
Just waiting
I
for
just got home from work like an hour ago.
Dude, this rain here is relentless. It just started dumping again.
come on.
There's definitely not going to be a shortage of birds up there this year.
Sending data.
Once Canada gets cold, they'll be coming.
Guess whatever. We'll skip Instagram. If it goes, it goes. We'll get it halfway through, I guess. I'm not gonna wait for it. It is what it is. All right, guys. Welcome back to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. We have Devin and Devin from the Triple Cure. What is it? Can you just say it?
Triple curl.
Triple. All right, I can't speak tonight. It's all
Triple
good.
curl
Well,
outfitters.
Triple Curl Outfitters. Like like duck curls, like ducktail curls. Is that what we're?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at that goes. Well, boys, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. They're on short notice. I know we had a small cancellation. You boys jumped right into suit. Devin's been bothering me for months now to get on the podcast, so I think we let him. How are we gonna differentiate between the two of you guys?
You can
Well,
call me
from
Devin, and
all
he'll
the
call him Devo.
Devo,
Yeah.
well, my nickname is Cooter, really.
Hooter. Well,
Nice.
so that's how it's gonna start.
Yep.
We got Cooter and Devin.
That's what everybody calls me. Whatever.
Is that what they call you in the duck blind, or?
You don't get to choose your nicknames. You just get one thrown at you, and if it sticks, you're kind of stuck with it, right?
Yeah,
That's
Wisconsin,
about
it's been
right.
Cooter. North Dakota was Devo, just like the band. So yeah, I got a couple. But in the duck blind,
Nothing better.
the clients after a while were like, "Well, we got a big D and we got a little D." So that's pretty much what they call us when we're hunting.
Little D.
Little
Yeah.
D. Growing up to
Yeah.
be a pretty big. No, he's doing big things over there. So
Oh yeah.
I remember the years of Devin running around all the shows and the time that he talked me into getting a dog and everything else. So
Yeah,
it's
you need another one about pretty soon.
stop. Don't even do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Devin. Well, boys, let's put this thing in four-wheel dig. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you guys do?
You want
We'll
to
let you
start?
start, Cooter.
Okay.
We'll let
My
you
name's
go.
Devin. My name's Devin Covert. I live in south central or southwestern Wisconsin. I run a small business, owner of C over T Construction. I subcontract in windows and doors, doing heating and AC. Also now, pretty much just like to fish and hunt on my off time, and that's who I am and kind of what I do. You can go now.
I'll go. Hold on here. Rocky.
Look at that thing.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Devin went out.
Yeah.
When you're in North
I'm gonna
Dakota
go
and you have
North
no
Dakota.
service, how this cookie crumbles.
Oh, it's brutal sometimes.
Ugh, I know. You talk to him and then he'll be in the ditch somewhere. But anyways, go ahead. Deb,
Bet.
can you hear us? Are you back again? You're gonna
Is,
ruin this
is it
whole
better
podcast
now?
in the first 5 minutes. No.
Now it is. You're
Yeah,
good.
I'm back. I'm in the middle of the yard now. Devin Tumla. I'm located in north central North Dakota. I used myself the last 7 years with some cousins of mine now. Um, raising train dog prep work. Couple years, me and my cousin Cooter started guiding for Mouse River Outfitters, and then we decided it was time to go on and do our own thing, and that's where we're at now.
So what made you guys dig into the whole waterfowl thing? I know that, we've talked to a couple of people like Ryan Warden and stuff. It's one of those trades that's a tough one when you're guiding when it comes to waterfowl and all the federal laws and regulations.
I
Cooter,
mean, yeah, it can be tough. I mean, that's why what's nice about North Dakota is when you get your foot in the door, and go guide for an outfitter, you start seeing all the legalities to it, kind of what you're doing. I mean, I've hunted with my dad since I was a little kid, so just doing it, you kind of follow suit and you kind of know what to do. But then the legalities and everything that has to come into it to start doing it on your own, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. That's why it's nice that they have it where you have to work with somebody for 2 years before you can go on your own or even think about it.
Is that how they regulate it? Like you have to do it with another outfitter for a certain amount of time before you can get going on your own?
Yes, you have to work with an outfitter, a outfitter for the state for a minimum of 2 years. Then you can go on your own.
Am I back now?
But then you have to you work for 2 years. After you take a test, you got to take a test first. You have to pass that in order to even work for an outfitter. And then once you get the job with them, you work your 2 years. Then you basically get your liability insurance. You apply for an outfitter license, and then when they give you that, then you're set to go on your own.
That's crazy. So what made you guys want to do this stuff on your own? I mean, it's a lot to take on and get clients and that kind of thing.
To me, we hunted really well together when we first kind of met, because I didn't even know we were related right away, to be honest with you guys. Just kind of met and hung out, hunted together, hunt really well together. Like I said, I've done it for a very long time started with my dad, hunted with some uncles in the past, other cousins, kind of just did it. And I said, hey, should we do this? Should we jump into this and try it? And here we are today, jumping in and trying it.
So kind of take us through what a North Dakota waterfowl season looks like.
Um, Devin, you can fill him in now. if
Am I
he's
back
in,
now?
You're back.
are
I'm
you
back
back?
now.
He's
Sorry,
back.
what was that, Trevor?
Good. Let it rip. We want to know what does it look like in a North Dakota hunting season?
Waterfowl?
Yeah.
So we've got early goose that opens up in mid-September or mid-August. 15 daily limit. It's pretty hit or miss. Up here it's pretty rough to get on early geese just because of crop harvest. There'll be guys Fargo, Bismarck, Jamestown area along the rivers where that crop is in so much earlier, where they're out banging birds right away, large numbers, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 birds, up here because of, the hatches are usually later, the harvest is usually a little bit delayed. So when early goose opens up here, if we're shooting 10, 15 birds, that's not a bad hunt at all. We don't get early teal or anything like that. Our crane season does open up mid-September. I've never had great luck getting on them right away in the season. Same thing. It's comes down to a migration thing and a harvest standpoint. And then regular season opens up usually the last weekend to second last weekend of September. Um, the birds are just crazy. The first week of resident waterfowl is just out of this world. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And then there's kind of the first push of birds the following weekend when non-resident opens up. The locals are usually a little scattered, a little finicky, but you can definitely tell that the newer birds are in. And then from there, mid-season, it varies every year. It depends on what's happening north of us up in Canada. Being we're so close to the border, we're basically Canada. So we really rely a lot on the colder weather hitting on time to create that steady push of birds throughout October. Personally, where we're at, to get into waterfowl in November is pretty rare, just because we freeze up so early, because it's not super large bodies of water. It's a lot of sloughs, acre to 5 acres. There's no true river
Did you just
systems
say
or
acorn?
anything like that.
Did you say acorn?
No acres.
Oh, I thought you said anchor.
No, 1 to 5 acres. And so it really our favorite week to hunt. We tell our family and our friends, you know, try to hit the third week of October. Um, that's usually when Cooter, he only gets 2 weeks to hunt, because he's a non-resident. So you get 2 weeks to hunt. You can do a week split, and then a week later, or you can do it all at one time. He usually doesn't get his license to kick in until that third week, just because that's when the true heart of the migration usually hits.
And it's complete chaos then,
Why do you say that?
because all the birds start coming down from Canada, and it just gets really greasy.
And you guys are really, you guys are pretty close in that migration in the first start of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The one thing that's nice, especially, I don't care to do them too much. The one thing that is nice, ducks, geese, all of that that's what I prefer. Ducks and Canada geese. But Cooter, he loves chasing snow geese, and the great part about that is, we are the first part of the migration when the snow geese come down. So other than, the handful of guys that are chasing them up in Saskatchewan, we're the first people that get to touch them down here. So I know Covert really enjoys that in the fall once the snow geese start moving down.
Oh yeah, I got a vendetta on them little things.
So explain for most of the guests that don't know, like kind of like how the migration starts. Like they come out of the tundra up north, and then they kind of start to migrate down. And you're not able to shoot them in the spring coming back up, right?
Just the snow geese.
No geese we can do.
You can hit them in the spring coming back up.
Yes.
Yep, correct. Yep. So in the spring, it's a lot different than in the fall. E-collars, uh, there's no limit. I mean, me and Covert could go out and just smash as many birds as humanly possible. And that doesn't happen very often, but when the stars align, I don't think there's a better hunting that you can be a part of than a spring snow goose hunt conservation season.
Is it a lot of lessers or graders that you guys are hunting?
As far as snows,
Yeah.
they're mixed. You get some graders sometimes, but it's mostly just like the mid subspecies of them or whatever. You get a lot of the Ross and stuff like that mixed in. A lot of the blue phase. Like I
Yeah.
think over by the East Coast, it's usually just the white birds over that way, I believe. You
So
don't see the blues over that way as often.
we don't see as many blues, but we do see a lot of blues. But we get a lot of graders, which is a little bit
Yeah, you get the big
harder to
ones.
hunt. Yeah, and they're a lot harder to hunt. Like if you on a good day shooting 20, 25 in a day is like a knockout day. Like that's like 10 plus 10. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the best shootout that you could probably have. I mean, some guys do a little bit better than that, but like it's not like the Midwest where those guys they'll shoot 75, 80, whatever, they'll beat them up pretty good. We don't get it like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's days that I just start out wanting to shoot 25, and then sometimes you'll get 50. Sometimes you can. I haven't seen the 100 yet, but one of these years I'll hit 100. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. You get 10, like on a bad year when it's all adults. You don't have a real good spring hatch out of all the juveniles. It gets really tough to hunt them because you're hunting all wise adult birds that have seen decoy spreads from all the way from Louisiana all the way up to the tundra in the spring of the year. So I mean, by the time they get up in North Dakota, they get a little tougher to hunt. But now with the juvie numbers coming back again, like this year, I've heard from a few of my sources I talked to is that the juvie hatch for snow geese is like through the roof this year again, just like last year. So, and even just from pictures I see on different forums on Facebook, there's a lot of juvies with snow geese this year. It should be a good fall and a good spring coming back around.
So what does it look like as far as duck hunting and stuff like that when you're taking out clients? Like what do you hunt in like sluiceways? Like what kind of hunting are you trying to do?
So primarily, every day we try to get our guys a morning and an evening hunt. A lot of places don't do that. It's you go out. If you guys see a lot of birds, you're shooting lots of shells. You're not going back out in the evening, even if you only shot half your duck limit. What we like to try to focus on is, you know, crane and honker feeds in the morning because there's always going to be ducks mixed in. We don't we don't care if we don't shoot our duck limit in the morning because we can go back in the evening to some of our lakes and some of our sloughs or whatever, or another duck feed and hunt it in the evening. But up here, you can only shoot cranes till early afternoon, and then same thing with honkers. Other than 2 days a week, we can only shoot geese in the evenings, twice a week. So we really try to focus on the fields in the morning, getting cranes, getting geese. Ducks are a bonus in the morning for us, and then because we're not worried if we've got 8 guys and we go out and we shoot 20 honkers and a handful of cranes and we only scratch out 10 ducks. We're gonna go back out in the evening to go shoot the other 40 ducks that we would need for our limit. We might not get them, but that's what we go out with as a goal in the evening.
So you just brought something up that I've never even heard of before. So crane hunting and goose hunting, you can only hunt until noon or afternoon or whatever.
Yeah, early afternoon.
So why do they do that?
I suppose to help with numbers.
So
That
it's kind of
give
like
them
turkey hunting here. You're not.
gives them a break too a little bit. I think is that because they've done it forever since I can ever remember even hunting up there over the years. They've done it forever.
That's crazy. That's got to be some type of conservation with turkeys too, where you can't hunt them afternoon. You got to leave them alone. And I know that like some places that we hunt, they have like resting swamps and stuff that you can't hunt in or
Yeah,
stuff like that. But I've never heard it where you can't hunt them in the afternoon. That's kind of wild to me.
yeah. And you bring up like resting areas like sanctuaries. We've got two of them actually. Our main area that we hunt is right in between two sanctuaries, one significantly larger than the other. Um, that's one of the problems that we run into really late in the year because there's so much cropland that is still part of that refuge, part of that sanctuary. So when the birds are still there late, there might be 50,000 ducks and 30,000 geese in the area still. The problem is they're not leaving the refuge because there's wheat fields and pea fields and barley fields, that are within that boundary. And over time, they've learned that all they've got to do is get up off the ice hole that they're keeping open, fly a quarter mile, feed, and go right back. And they never leave the refuge.
They're like big bucks. They know where they need to be, so
Yeah,
they don't
they
have to
know.
leave. They know they're smart in that. If they fly over, they get shot at. So what are they
Yep,
gonna stay right back in the ditch?
yep, they know. And I know you guys don't do it a lot over there, but um, and I know Covert does it some in Wisconsin. I used to in Iowa, but especially up where we're at, it's how many times do you think we've actually trafficked birds, Devin?
Oh, like actually trafficked them? I
Yeah,
don't. I don't
handful of
know.
times,
Maybe a handful of times. Usually, we're chasing feeds.
maybe. You
Maybe a
like,
handful of times,
you
but it's
know,
usually feed hunting.
I've hunted so many times growing up in Iowa, and I've got guys, buddies that are down there, and all they talk about is running traffic. Get in between point A, point B. That works down there. It's almost impossible to traffic birds up here. It's
Oh, you're
So
talking about down where I'm at. I gotcha. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I've done both. It's either we chase feeds here, the few times we get out, or literally run traffic, and traffic works here. But if they start getting educated and pounded on, then you got to go back to the feed hunting here. Like, or they just get super wise and they get really hard to hunt, and it's you got to wait for fresh birds to come because they just turn stale so quick.
so slow it down a little bit and break this down for a lot of guys that may not be waterfowl hunters, because we might have a lot of deer hunters or guys, or I bet you Steve's like, what is running traffic? Like, why don't you break that down for so we kind of know what exactly that is?
So there's we'll just kind of start at the beginning. You've got water hunting, right? You're hunting a lake, you're hunting a slough, a river, coulee, whatever. You've got water hunting, and then you've got feed hunting, which is always objective number one, is to find the big feeds, because that's where you're going to have the most luck. That's where they want to go. Um, and like I said before, trafficking is basically you're getting in between point A and point B. You know where they're at, where they roost, and you're trying to cut them off from getting to point B. Whether that's a loafer pond or where they're feeding, you might not have permission for it, so you set up in between the two with your decoys and try to draw them into somewhere where they don't necessarily want to be.
And then you're just running like big decoy spreads to try
Yeah.
and get where they want to be.
Yeah, you're not throwing out small, half-ass spreads if you're trying to run traffic.
So, and one of the things, I mean, like in waterfowl hunting, like a lot of the things is it's guys always ask like, how many decoys should I be running? In what scenario should I be running them?
I'll let you take that one, Cooter.
I mean, it's always different. There's guys that'll run 400, 500 honker decoys. There's guys that'll run 40, 50 of them. I mean, it's a different scenario of like how many birds are in the area, stuff like that. Snows, for sure, it's a number game with them things. It's big number spreads, whether it's full bodies or socks or a mix of full bodies and socks. That is a big number game with snows most of the time. Ducks, you run a dry field on ducks. I mean, you probably want to run 5 to 8 dozen full body duck decoys with some honker decoys, or run them in the kill hole with snow decoys, full bodies, because ducks like to go to snow geese because they're aggressive feeders. I mean, it's always different. I would say. I mean, some guys will sit there and tell you 300. Some guys, I mean, I know guys here. Some of my buddies here in Southwest Wisconsin have killed geese in early season with as many as 6 full bodies, and shot
I mean,
their 5 birds a piece out of 3 guys. They shot 15 birds.
yeah, and sometimes, I mean, and a lot of guys don't realize is that they're just aggressive birds in the beginning, like especially honkers. Honkers are one of those things that like sometimes less is more. Like if you
Yep.
run a little bit sometimes because they're so aggressive. One of the things we used to do always in the kill hole is we would do three sleepers in a triangle. And I don't know what it is, and when you put it in the kill hole, they literally want to land on them. I don't know what it is or where it came from, but we put 3 sleeping ones right in the center of the kill hole, and literally they put their feet down right on their backs, and it's mind blowing. Like, why? What are you like? I don't get it. I don't get it, nor do I understand it.
Yeah, we don't we don't run a ton of sleepers. Situations arise where you always wish that you might have more of them than what you do. I say the two kind of hunts where you're gonna run sleepers with honkers the most is gonna be hunting water and getting those sleepers put on the shoreline, and hunting snow. Other than that, I mean, we don't really throw out too many sleepers, do we?
No, if like not. I mean, I got a couple, but I don't think we've ever thrown them out. I mean, when you and me would just go fun hunting and stuff, I had those ones, but there's only like 2 or 3 of them I ever set out. But no, I would agree with loafing, whatever sets, loaf like shoreline stuff, and then in the snow, because geese always land in the snow and they lay down. It takes them some significant time for them to melt the snow to get down to the feed in the snow. So that I could see that more beneficial, but I haven't done too many snow hunts like out in the snow. Few, but that's what I've always seen just watching flocks of birds over the years when there's snow on the ground and they're still around. I can see it's more beneficial at that point, those 2 points, to use sleeper shells.
Do you have like your special decoy or something that has to be in every single spread?
I wouldn't say a special decoy, but we've gotten to the point where majority of the hunts, clients might look out at sunrise and there might be a pair of sandhill cranes sitting on a hilltop 200 yards away.
Why do
That
you
has
do?
happened.
Yeah, I don't know, just for fun, messing around. But at the same time, they're one of those confidence things, right? Like, it's just like when we were in college, one of my buddies got a swan tag, and he went and bought like a dozen swan floaters. What do you need a dozen for? But what we started doing was that no matter how finicky the birds got, if we tossed out one or two of those swans on the edge of the duck spread, they liked it better. It was confidence for them. That big bird's not going to be there if they're worried. And so, half of it's just messing around, being funny, goofing off and putting something out there doesn't really need to be out there. And the other half is, just for confidence.
See, like when Dev, when we sea duck hunt, we always have the seagulls in the spread, like just these random seagulls. They'll just
Yep.
in the spread. Danny loves to run the seagulls, but I knew that everybody always has a lucky mojo or some defective decoy that they always have to have in their spread, because it seems as if like waterfowl hunting's one of those things. It's always just like good camaraderie, jokes, funny, busting stones, busting ass on each other. Like it's just a fun, good time.
I've got I wouldn't call it a lucky decoy necessarily, but so Mouse River Outfitters, we used to guide for Todd, and then there's a couple of the guys we're pretty good friends with, Nick and those guys, and Jared, and me and Ivy, we went over to go hang out with them and do a little hunting, and we went out to the bar, and Nick was he was gone, and his wallet was sitting out on the table. So me and Jared got his credit card out, and we ordered, a big 12-inch adult toy to the lodge. And that whole season, every day that they went out, they slipped it into a client's blind bag. And the clients would get out there and start reaching around to grab shells, and they grab out that sucker. And by the end of it, they had a full body goose that they were missing a head and they couldn't find it. And they screwed it on as the head to that goose, and they hunted with it for weeks. So
Yeah,
not necessarily, like a lucky decoy or a lucky aura or, 4-leaf clover or something, but funny stuff like that does happen pretty often.
It's always something in camp. Like I guess as a guide and being around the guys all the time and having different clients come in, you have different spoofs and different funny things that guys do. Because I mean, let's face it, guys are out there to have a good time. I mean, Steve, how many times in bear camp did they have little tiny spoofs or something that you guys would do throughout the years? Just being in camp with all the guys. I mean, it's a normal thing every single time you go somewhere, because everyone's there for vacation. They're there for a fun time. They don't want it to be kind of like stuffy and not fun to be around.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
They had,
just
I mean, a lot of the clients we've had over like the years of doing this, they're a riot. You can kind of read them within about the first, I'd say maybe 15, 20 minutes when they're getting like settled in or hanging out. And oh man, Devin and me have had some dandies. Oh God, you're just sitting there, your guts hurt so bad from laughing so hard in the blinds. By the time you're done hunting, it's like, oh my God, you guys are awesome and so much fun to hunt with. So
what do you,
I
what do you
mean, it gets pretty fun.
tell us some of those stories? I mean, let's share them with everybody.
Well,
I think my favorite one was so I I I don't know. Covert could probably attest to it, but I bought a water spread a couple years ago when we started guiding because I wanted our water spread to be the best of the best, bigger than everyone else's. I mean, like I don't know many outfitters up here that really try to hunt water. Most try to hunt fields, but I would put that water spread that I got against anyone's. And it was Devin and these three old guys that we had, and were they from Georgia or South Carolina?
I think so, somewhere over there.
That is one of our last groups of the year, and we had been smoking birds with them. But these two, you guys had what, two teal or Gadwell or something come sneak around the corner, and they landed right in the middle of the spread.
Oh, it's
And
two mallards. Two mallards.
Covert goes, all right, you guys see him? Yep, yep, yep. Get ready. Boom, 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 boom. And one's dead and one's flying away. Well, the guy on the end, his name was Ralph, and he goes, well, I got that one. And Covert's like, you didn't, no, you didn't. It flew away. He's like, it's laying right there. It's dead. So Covert sends his dog out there, gets the one duck, brings it back, and then about 5 minutes later, one of my decoys is ass down, sinking down to the bottom of the slough, just peppered, just absolutely peppered a decoy. You would have never been able to tell that guy he shot a decoy and not a duck if you wouldn't have pulled that decoy out of the water.
I actually sent my dog out there to retrieve it, and all I hear is like a plastic chomp, and I'm like, what in the heck? So then I'm like going out there because he comes back, he leaves it there because I mean it sounded like something like plastic clunking in his mouth. So I walked out there and went and grabbed it, and I'm like, oh, nice. I said, yeah, you got the second one all right. You killed a decoy, and he just massacred it. It was BBs everywhere, brand new, basically brand new decoys.
Oh, it's brand new, first season. Hey, we let him take it home. I'm pretty sure he's got it sitting on a shelf somewhere in his house.
Yeah, he got
Do
pictures
you
with Devin and me with it, and we're like, yeah, you're taking that home as a trophy. He goes, yeah, I am definitely taking this home.
do you ever get clients that want to like blow a duck call and you're like, oh, please don't do that. Don't.
So we tell everyone that if you've got calls, you're welcome to call. But if you start hammering on them and you sound like trash, we will let you know. And there's been more than a handful of times where you have to tell guys that you can just put that away. You're doing way more harm than good right now.
How do you go about that conversation though? Like
You're you're it's like you're the coach and they're the players, right? You're just like, hey, no, to the bench.
Yep,
do they normally
you're
take it good? Or
you're on timeout. Pretty much is how it goes.
do they take it well though?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had anybody, cause a big fuss about it.
But I never did either. I mean, I'm not the world's champion caller either. I'm decent at it, but if they sound good, I let them rip. I mean, but some guys are better on duck calls than on goose calls and stuff. So you just kind of pick and choose, and some guys are really good at both. And it's like, well, I just add a little bit here and there to what they're doing. If they're a way better goose caller than I am, I don't even bat an eye at it.
Yeah,
Really?
I tell people the same thing that Covert probably does. I'm damn good enough on the calls to kill piles of birds, but you're not going to see me winning any contests.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
they're definitely there's a big difference in calling. Like competition, it's like turkey calling, right? Like there's turkey calling competitions and guys that just know how to call in the competition, and then there's turkey killers that just call to kill. Like, and then the same in the duck and the goose field. Like I'm no competition caller. I just call to kill. Steve, same thing. No, you're never gonna see the two of us on the stage trying to compete because it's it's not gonna happen there. But like,
Yeah,
Not
that
me
might
either.
make a good episode.
what's that?
You and Steve up there, duos.
In a calling competition?
Yeah, yeah.
Not interested.
That'd be a good episode, dude.
Not at all. And it's the same with goose and duck calling. I mean, like guys will say, like, oh yeah, I'm not here to win a competition. You just know how to kill birds. There's a difference between presenters and killers. I mean, there's
Yep.
a big difference between the two of them, and they never normally mix very well neither. Like the guys that go and try and call competition in the wild aren't as good as killing birds as the guys that kill birds. My
Yep. I will say there's been half a dozen or a dozen guys that you get out there the first morning and you get the first flock of ducks coming in and they start hammering on your duck call and you're kind of like, holy shit, I never get to hunt with anybody that can call it halfway's decent. So they'll start hammering and we'll kill birds and I'll look down the blind. They'll be like, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't even think about putting them away. 'Cause
Yep.
all of my buddies up here that I hunt with, not a one of them. I don't even know if they own a call. Sean Sukup, I'm calling you out. You're gonna listen to this. I'm calling you out. 13 years we've been hunting, and I don't know if you've ever blown a call in the blind.
Well, I guess no better place than to call out your buddy than on a podcast telling him that he sucks.
We'll call out one more. Austin Hills, don't bring your calls up here, buddy.
Don't bring Austin's gonna listen too. Steve. That's if you guys don't know what that is, that's what rattles your antlers. So what better than to break into our new segment, what rattles your antlers? Tell me what rattles your guys' antlers.
When
We know
things
that
don't
is.
go right.
Damn calls.
And,
Yeah.
and well, no, I don't get super mad about calls. It's just when you put the effort, you put the time into everything, and there's times that things don't work out the way you want it to work. But you know damn well at the end of the day, you gave it all you had, and it is what it is. It's whether the birds have been pressured to work that day, or just it happens. You're at the end of the day, you're still hunting, and a lot of people that do the guided hunts and stuff, some guys are really good about it. Some guys aren't so much good about it. Like, I paid this amount of money to come and kill stuff. Well, it's still hunting at the end of the day. And I mean, that's to me, I get more frustrated than anything. So I could say that's what rattles my antlers is when you have that bad day or bad morning or bad evening and you just kind of beat yourself up about it, but there's nothing you can do about it. It was the birds that didn't want to work.
I'll kind of piggyback off that same thing. You always get remarks about you've got a group of 7 guys that come up and hunt for 4 days. I mean, that's a large amount of money getting thrown around, and you can't help. Oh, it's downpouring for 2 of the 4 days, or it's nice up in Canada, 70 degrees up in Saskatchewan, so the birds aren't pushing down. You know, we go as hard as we can. We scout hundreds of miles a day, and you always get the clients that, like you said, at the end of the day, it's still hunting. We can't make the birds be here, you know. But I think the thing that bugs me the most is when you've got a plan all lined up, this hunt goes this way, we're going to go do this. And you start getting to that point where you're going to swap your plans around, and clients, at the end of the day, you're not necessarily you need to do what they want to do, but at the same time, they're your customer. So you've got to appease to them and make them happy. So if they don't want to go with the plan all the time, sometimes that's what you got to do. For instance, we had a spot that we were keeping in our back pocket a couple of years ago that was just loaded to the gills with widgeon, just loaded, backup plan, right? We went and hunted probably 35 minutes southwest of my farm, and we had a big group of guys. We went out there, and it was just slow, hard setup. I mean, we had to hike in all the chairs, the A-frames, few dozen decoys, all the mojos, what, 400 or 500 yards through the cattails.
Yeah, it was a long ways.
It was long. I mean, it was 40 degrees out, and all I was wearing was my waders. I mean, I sweat through my shirt, my sweatshirt. I mean, we were just roasting trying to get set. And we're like, it's either going to be up here or it's going to be way down here. I mean, this hunt's going to be one or the other. Is going to be no in between. Well, it went the lesser. So we had a backup plan in case that happened. Well, pickup time comes, and these guys were dead set that they're up here, they're paying money, and we sat there all day. 8 guys, and I mean, it was just a rough day. It was raining all day. It was blowing 35-mile-an-hour wind. The wind switched, so it was blowing right in our face in the afternoon. I mean, it was just not prime scenario. I have all the confidence in the world that if we would have went to our backup spot, we would have damn near finished our limit instead of sitting out there soaking wet, nothing to eat, nothing to drink all day. So that's what bugs me is, just guys just being bullheaded, not willing to, switch things up and do what might be best.
So that's one of my biggest pet peeves is guiding the guide, right? So like
Yeah.
if the guide tells you what to do, he knows best. Like let him do it. Put that faith in your guide, right? Like if
Yeah.
you say like, all right, this ain't went panning out to what it needs to be. I got a different plan. Like let's do it. I guided fishing trips forever, and it was the same thing. Guys would be like, oh no, you said there's fish here. We're just gonna stay here until they bite. Well, guess what, buddy? They might not bite, but I got another plan. Like, let's run down the road and let's see if we can't find something else. And that's kind
Yep.
of the you're trying to do. And you can't guide the guide. Let the guide do what he needs to do to make it happen. It's the most important thing when it comes to guiding. But guys, you probably get a lot of stubborn guys, and then you probably get some that follow your plan and want to do what you want to do, and it pans out and always works.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah, it can be win lose. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a small guy, and I was right there with Devin, like literally with no shirt on in my waders, hauling stuff out, and these guys were, I think weren't they from like Kentucky or North or South Carolina too?
Yeah, somewhere
I think
Kentucky,
North
North
Carolina.
Carolina.
They go to us with it being like 40 degrees out, maybe 38 degrees, no shirt on, and they go, "You guys are crazy." And we're like just soaking wet with sweat. I mean, this is hot. I'm used to this stuff. Definitely, Devin's used to it. So we're like, yeah, this is what we do. And then at the end of the day, I mean, by the time they were going to leave, and they had to leave on flights and stuff, I mean, they gave us a real nice tip. We did one more morning hunt, gave us a nice tip. They're like, hey, they're like, here you go. You guys deserve it. You guys worked your butt off for us with you guys doing what you do, worked really hard for us. And here's what we're doing for you. And the other thing is that the other guys at the other lodge weren't killing hardly any birds at all. So the birds we were killing actually, I mean, it we were killing birds, a few here and there, but I mean, they're still killing. So I mean, it turned out being all right after the end when it was all said and done. They were really happy with the hunt.
It's funny that I've kind of found over the years is that like guys, the most appreciation is the ones that you have to work hard for, right? Like
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
have to work, you know, just because you're not filling limits every single day in the truck doesn't mean, some of those clients take that stuff for granted. The ones that you have to stretch out all day to try and pinch out a, limit, those are the ones that appreciate it the most. Like
Yeah.
they understand the hard work that goes into it and the dedication.
Yeah, well, I mean, you hit that spot on, and I'm not trying to sound selfish or talk about bad tips or whatever. At the end of the day, you're doing what you love. You're making money. You're already making money. You're guiding. Your tip is just, you know, a bonus on the top, right? And we had a group of guys. I think there was 5, and they came for 3 days. So our guys, when they come for a 3-day hunt, they show up, say Thursday evening, and we hunt Friday morning, Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, and then Sunday morning. So we go out and we shoot limits by after 2 hours. We were out of the hunting spot within 2 hours of shooting light the first 2 days. we get just an awesome spot for the next morning. And these guys can't hunt for longer than what, an hour and a half before they got to be on the road because two of the guys had to
Yeah,
catch
I
their
think it was something
flights.
like that. I think it was something like that, yeah.
We were limited. We were limited with pictures taken, these guys in their trucks before that hour and a half was up. And, 5 guys, 3 straight days of limit. Like, you could not have asked for anything more. Like, it was just cloud after cloud after cloud of ducks just pouring in every spot we went to. You couldn't get better hunting anywhere you went. And I think what we split $200.
I think
For
something
3
like that,
days.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
something like that.
we've had groups of 8 guys that we hunt hard for 5 days and don't kill that sheer amount of birds. And, like you said, worked way harder. The birds just, wasn't cooperative. And, we end up making $600, $700, $800 a piece.
Mm-hmm. I think it's an untalked about thing, and I think it's something over the years that I've realized is like, I think that it's just the sheer ignorance of people that just don't know, right? Like it's not their fault sometimes, and I think that they just don't understand the gratuity aspect of it. Like your guide is working for tips, right? Yeah, he gets paid
Yeah.
a certain that amount, but I think that there's a point where in that world that people don't realize that you work for tips and 20% gratuity is normal, like, and people just don't know. Like I don't know how many times, like, so in the state of Maryland it's actually a law that you have to tip your guide 20% or you can be fined by the police.
Really?
It's a law,
That's
right?
crazy.
So here in Connecticut when you're guiding, it's a lot of people say it and it's in our contracts that it's 20% gratuity of the final price of your trip. So say that they're fishing with me for 3 days and it's $1,400, right? It's 20% of $1,400. And that's what your gratuity is. And they tell
Yep.
you like it's 20% of your final cost. And I think a lot of people just don't realize it's just like a waiter. It's just like a lot of that. Like we get paid X amount per trip and then the gratuity on top of it. That's how we make a living. Like people just don't realize that aspect of it. I mean,
Yeah,
they're just
for
ed-
sure.
in that point.
Well, and it's completely different, when we're guiding now together and we're splitting that total money. Where before, even though we were technically, we were basically running our own show, we were still having, that we were still just getting a cut,
Hmm.
a small portion of what, the actual total hunt was worth.
Hmm. That's super weird. That's crazy. So now that you own it, it's a little bit different, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
so so yeah, now it's different because your overall split from your money from your clients is of a greater number, right? So if your tips are a little bit smaller on the smaller side, it ends up evening out. Where before, you know, we're splitting we're getting a small cut and we're sharing that, and then we have to split the um and then we share the tips, so everything before was on, a percentage base, a smaller percentage base than it is now.
right. Well, and you own the business, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit, yeah. Well, boys, it's been an absolute blast. But before we cut you loose, man, why don't you tell us what drives you outdoors?
Dude, just the love for it. I mean, I've been turkey hunting, deer hunting, fishing for crappies with my uncles since I was, 4 or 5 years old. Some of my favorite memories of being outdoors are, being in Iowa on the back rivers and catching 5-gallon buckets full of crappies, on little white beetle baits when I was 5, 6 years old. You know, I've never done it again since. I've never, and that's just what sticks with me, and now that I've got kids, it's especially true. We went out. I took my 2 oldest girls out on dove opener, and My shooting was horrendous. That's to say the least. It was horrendous. But we only shot 5 doves, but the girls had an absolute blast. You know, having them out there with me and seeing their joy for it, and even though we only shot five doves, was a better high than I would have got if I was out by myself and I shot a limit.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more, man. When you get back to some of those basics and just enjoy what the outdoors is really all about, sometimes that's better than shooting 10-man limit with all of your buddies. I mean,
Yep.
it's really enjoying it. Culvert, what drives you outdoors, my friend?
Yeah, just the camaraderie of it. A lot of people having good memories with my cousin hunting. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, hunted since I was 5 with my dad. Like I could stand up in the truck seat and go basically watch him kill geese and ducks and go bow hunting with them and all that, and just the camaraderie of it. I mean, I love to hunt. Like birds, turkeys, pheasants. I like to archery hunt. That's always one of my big passions too. Deer rifle hunting. I mean, fishing. I love to musky fish. I love chasing salmon on Lake Michigan because it's only 2 hours from where I live. So if I can get out there with some buddies on their boat and stuff, I mean, we go hammer some salmon out there. I mean, it's just the camaraderie of it all with the people I'm with. I mean, that's what drives me to do what I do.
Absolutely. Boys, why don't you tell them where they can find you, where they can book a hunt, where they can follow along and kind of see what's going on?
Instagram is @curl_outfitters, and our Facebook is @curl outfitter. You can give us a message on there. We've got our phone numbers linked. You can shoot us a message on media, give us a text, give us a call. Email is tc.outfitters.nd@gmail. Shoot us an email if that's what you prefer. We've got quite a few openings yet for this fall, and we're just looking forward to having what looks to be the best duck numbers I've seen in the last 6 or 7 years. And I'm just really looking forward to chasing ducks this year and getting after it with the clients and covert.
Fantastic. And you guys offer full lodging and all that stuff too, or is it just kind of like a DIY style, or how does that
No,
work?
just so as of right now, we're not offering lodging anymore. We did that when we were, with Mouse River. It's just too much for the two of us to keep up to. More guys makes it easier when you're running a 2-man show and you're got 5-6 guys trying to keep up with the lodge and farm and all that. It's just too much. So right now we've got a couple different hotel options, lots of different places to eat, and we tried to set our prices to reflect that, so you can compare it to going somewhere, getting the full-fledged thing, paying X amount of dollars for 3 days for everything included. We tried to reflect our prices, so that you'd even be on the cheaper side after you paid for food and hotel and, a couple nights at the bar.
Fantastic. Me and Steve are going to get on an airplane. When should we be there, you think? No.
Dude, whenever, just
Around
on
the
opening weekend.
Third week
We got
October,
we got big group on opening weekend.
Duh.
I don't know, man. The third week in October is going to be tough to leave.
I'm thinking about that spring return on them snows. That sounds like fun to me.
That's
You can come and
Stevie,
do that too.
Do it up.
Stevie, get in on some of that. Stevie, we should plan a trip and go down there and do it. But the problem is
that where's that season hit with your turkey season?
I think it intertwines, but turkey season's lottery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
turkey season's lottery
That's
there.
lottery draw. But what you got to do, we got to get it planned out so that when you come up, that the coolies are running and we can go shoot snow geese in the mornings and we can go literally catch 30-inch walleye in the ditch in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, that sounds more like fun. Steve, I think we need a plan trip, dude. I think that would be a good run and something to do. We need to get out there and visit Devin. I think that
I got one more question for you, Devin. Little D.
little
It's
D.
a proven fact that Cooter is your cousin, like legit, because I feel like
Dude,
for real, everybody I
legit.
know is your cousin.
Legit.
Yes, we're legit
I think you're
cousins. Yeah.
my dad's second. You're my dad's second cousin, right?
Anytime me and Trev go to any show, Trev's like, that's Devin's cousin. That's Devin's cousin. That's Devin's cousin. That's Devin's cousin.
It's like like some backwoods Alabama shit, but actually in
It
North
was,
Dakota.
dude. He messaged me on Facebook, and we were just talking about hunting, like meeting up. He's like, we know a lot of the same people, and I'm like, yeah. And he got up here and he starts talking to, I think he started talking to your mom or something, and found out. And he's like, he messages me and he's like, yeah, do you know we're cousins?
Hey,
Yeah, I don't
hey,
remember who I
hey,
talked to and was like, "Yeah, that's Rodney Hare's son," and I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm related to his dad, so yeah, we're cousins."
hey, Mark, they got nothing better to do out there with all that snow. They just, they plow snow a different way, and that's about it.
Hey, my dad always said, "Don't ever get caught in a blizzard with a woman." That's what he always said.
Why is
But
that?
all there
Why
is,
wouldn't
if you're
you?
not,
I mean, I don't want to be caught in the
if you're
blizzard
not
with
ice
you three
fishing in the
burly
winter,
fucks.
if you're not ice fishing or chasing coyotes in the winter, you're probably at home doing something else.
Well, that's why you got 5 kids, Devin.
I only got 4, dude.
The 5th one's on the way.
Oh,
Devin,
No, my
you better get some new tip ups and an ice shanty this winter then.
yeah, no kidding.
no, my dad always would say that most kids are conceived during a blizzard.
Well, I know I don't want to be stuck with the 3 of you and any blizzard. So, guys, everybody else, thanks for taking the ride.